Hello and welcome to episode number 15 of Gowing Live's Longevity Weekly with me, Chris Kerwin. This is a show where I bring you all the latest news and updates from the world of longevity and ageing research. And today we're going to be talking about the road to synthetic hearts, my chat with Grannick, CEO of Bristle Health, and the impact of obesity on the COVID-19 vaccine. So without further ado, let's get started. Now firstly, heart disease is one of the leading causes of death worldwide, and to be in with a shot of receiving a heart transplant, you need to be in the late stages of heart failure, and even then it's far from a guarantee. The demand for this vital organ far outweighs the number that are actually available for transplant, and this has brought about the need for synthetic hearts, which can be produced on a scale which meets society's needs. Current synthetic hearts are made from biocompatible materials, meaning they are less likely to be rejected by the body's immune system. This is an advantage over a real heart, as usually the recipient's immune system must be suppressed in order to avoid transplant rejection. However, artificial hearts are larger and sometimes heavier than a human heart. They also require a power source located outside the body that has to be recharged. Furthermore, an artificial heart will eventually fail and require replacement, and it also carries additional health risks. For example, synthetic heart valves increase the risk of blood clots. Currently, only one fully artificial heart is available on the market, made by a US-based company, Syncardia. More recently, another fully artificial heart was granted approval in Europe after years of setbacks. The heart's ventricles are made from bovine heart tissue and contain pressure sensors that allow cardiac output adjustments as the patient is exercising. However, the device remains a stopgap for a real human heart transplant. For artificial hearts to offer a permanent solution, one option is to make them out of synthesized heart tissue. Thankfully, some progress has already been made in this regard. In 2019, researchers were successful in 3D printing vascularized human heart tissue and small heart-like structures using induced pluripotent stem cells from patients. However, simply making cardiac tissue is not enough. Cardiac cells must also be capable of coordinating with each other to contract in unison. In 2020, researchers found a way to 3D print a tiny heart with sufficient cell density to allow these cells to beat together. Now, despite this promising progress, researchers still estimate that it will take at least 10 years for this approach to become viable for use in humans. And secondly, a couple of weeks ago, I had the absolute pleasure of being joined by Grannick, the CEO of Bristle Health, a US-based biotech company that are focusing on analysing the oral microbiome. Danny and his team are currently developing a home saliva test kit to detect the early stages of cavity and gum disease. Here's a little snippet from our talk. Why is the oral microbiome such an important aspect of our health?
We have microbiome communities all around our bodies. There's skin microbiomes and vaginal microbiomes. And in our case, we're looking at the oral microbiome. So the makeup of those bacteria, fungi, and viruses that reside in the oral cavity. And the very obvious connection to health is the connection between this microbiome community and our oral health. So we know that there are causally associated pathogenic bacteria with oral diseases like cavities and gum disease. And what we're discovering are deeper connections between our oral health status and our overall health. There's a saying, the mouth is a mirror of our health, and we're finding that to be very true.
So thanks again to Danny. If you want to go and check out the full discussion, I'll leave a link in the description below. Now thirdly, being obese has been associated with nearly a 50% greater risk of dying from COVID-19. This is partly because obese individuals are more likely to suffer from other conditions that make COVID-19 more threatening, such as heart disease and type 2 diabetes. However, fat tissue can also produce inflammatory signals, which over time can weaken the adaptive immune system, which is important when it comes to developing immunity against a pathogen or a vaccine. Which raises an important question. How does obesity impact the efficacy of the COVID-19 vaccine? Now, a relatively small study, which has not yet been peer-reviewed, suggests that obesity may hamper vaccine-induced immunity to the disease. The study measured the antibody response following the second dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine in 248 healthcare workers in Italy. Over 99% of the participants developed an antibody response. However, That response was found to be weaker in those with a higher BMI. Now, this result isn't particularly surprising, but we can still benefit from taking note. This study highlights the fact that vaccination doesn't guarantee complete immunity, especially if you have a high BMI. It has implications for vaccine rollouts, as it may be beneficial to give obese individuals an additional dose. It also means that the population immunity as a whole is likely to be lower in countries with high obesity. With all this being said, it is no less essential for overweight individuals to get vaccinated, as partial protection is a lot better than no protection at all. Indeed, due to the increased risk that comes with being obese, those with a high BMI actually still benefit more from vaccination than a lean person. And that is it for this week's Longevity Weekly, so thank you so much for joining. If you want to find out any more about anything I've talked about today, you can find the links to our website down below, where you can also check out the articles that we produced this week on things such as how microdosing lithium may help prevent Alzheimer's and the fish that doesn't age. So go and check them out, and if you haven't liked and subscribed, then please do, and I'll see you again next week. Goodbye.